Hi, everybody. Gee, I'm already exhausted holding the phone up like this. Keep trying. So, you may or may not know that the picture most famous for starring James Dean, the actor who died tragically young, Rebel Without a Cause. Well, hi, everybody. Everybody. It's one cat. I don't know why she's everybody all of a sudden. In fact, she's not a she, she's a he. Right. Rebel Without a Cause. Nick Gray picture stars James Dean, Sal Mineo, Natalie Wood. First movie about teenage culture, post World War II American teenage culture. You may or may not know it's one of the greatest movies ever made, but uh, you perhaps should know Rebel Without a Cause is one of the greatest movies ever made. Um, it's it's striking for, of course, any number of reasons. One of the stretches of the movie that's always peculiarly poetic for me, I suppose for a lot of viewers, is when James Dean and Natalie Wood and Sal Mineo all play troubled teenagers who live in the same neighborhood. Um, Towards the end of the middle of the movie, the three of them break into an abandoned house that Sal Mineo has been sort of hiding out in. Uh, and For an odd sort of reel or so of the movie, they become a de facto family: father, mother, son. Um, so the other day, I'm having trouble breathing. I apologize. Uh, this next um, I didn't really understand what was going on when this happened because of my understanding being sort of out of order. Uh, Spent 12 hours out chasing medical help. I was supposed to get a biopsy of my lungs, and I didn't. I went to Brandon, which is basically an hour. I don't think about it. It's basically an hour away from where I live. It's all one urban landscape. Um, so so they didn't do what they're supposed to do, uh, and they wanted me to schedule some follow up. Is basically, ow, that's claws. Right? Yes. uh, so so I walked away from the doc. That fucking hurts, dude. The doctor's appointment. Pretty dismayed. I'm supposed to follow up with a sleep study in 2 weeks. A sleep study? A sleep study. I don't even know what that is, but what it isn't is a biopsy of what I was told was fungus growing in my lungs. Uh, and I was so tired by then I was just confused. I couldn't really figure out exactly how to find my way back to the bus um, to get back home. I wandered around the neighborhood for a few minutes, disoriented, before I figured out where a bus stop was that I could pick up the right bus at. I actually saw the bus leave is how I spotted it. So I had to wait about an hour, and while I was walking up to the bus stop, um, sort of a street person walked up at the same time as me to catch the bus. Girl turned out to be named Sophia. I say girl, she's in her 40s. Um, Greek, uh, and and very striking, sort of intense and wild-eyed Greek girl. Um, kept hiding behind her hair, kept seeing one eye, and she didn't really seem to want to make eye contact much. And she had kind of a jagged scar under the eye, but we spot each other as being easy company. It's like that sometimes. Until she was a speed freak. We talked about Crystal a little bit. She used my phone a bunch to try to chase down some Crystal. When the bus finally came, she only rode it part of the way up the road. I rode for a better part of an hour. I liked her. But when she first walked up to the bench at the same time as I did, we just spotted each other as easy company. Get along with each other, you can tell. It's chemistry. And I didn't really, I didn't really follow that we would scan as people who knew each other. We might scan as a couple. And I didn't follow when this happened that we were enough older than this kid to scan as sort of parental. Just sat down on the bench to wait for the bus. We're stuck there for 45 minutes waiting for this fucking bus. And this character, Sophia, sat down next to me. And you may or may not be aware, you probably are more or less, that in the cities, in the streets these days, everybody's on Crystal. Now the meth that's going around these days, it isn't the psycho-making potion it was when I first started dabbling with methamphetamine back in the 90s. In fact, conversation with Sophia about it. It's not. You hear this stuff as a scourge socially these days. What you don't really hear is that it's not crazy making the way it used to be. It tends to be sort of a stabilizing influence on the people who are on the stuff all the time these days. You can get to sleep on it. Yeah, it's not like the stuff we used to call red rock crystal back in the 90s. It's not a drug that is going to lead directly to people mumbling to themselves in corners and public restrooms. It used to be. But it makes people twitchy for sure. So Sophia was doped up on cold medicine and hadn't had any real drugs for a day or two and was pissed off. Like I said, used my phone to chase some drugs. I hadn't found any by the time I walked away. She kind of wanted to hang out and go do drugs. I'm sick. I'm not doing any crystal with anyone. So we're sitting on this bench, and this kid, wild-eyed, blonde kid, he couldn't have been more than 19 or 20. Good deal more twitched out than I get easily. He's jittery, like he's actively, obviously high. Comes walking up the sidewalk right as Sophia and I just sort of started propping up the bench together. He had a pizza box from a Hungry Howie's in his hand, and he approached us kind of excitedly. It took me a second to realize that he didn't know her any more than he knew me. And he's waving this pizza box around and asks us if we want some pizza, and then immediately just dumps it onto the sidewalk. So it was like a medium-sized pizza, I guess, and with 2 slices left in the box. He managed to dump them onto the sidewalk. Still in pretty good shape. He sort of sheepishly picked up the 2 slices of pizza and put them back in the box and offered them to us again. I said no thanks. I mean, actually, they weren't fouled. I might have eaten that pizza were I hungry, but I wasn't. Sophia wasn't either. And then he asked if we wanted to smoke. And just gave Sophia a pack of cigarettes that he opened and made me take one of. Lucky Strikes. Menthol Lucky Strikes. I realized later that this was not the cigarettes a smoker would be like that. Camels or Marlboros or Marlboro Lights. They're Lucky Strikes in this odd green and black pack. That is to say, were you not a tobacco smoker regularly? Were you just shooting in the dark, buying cigarettes? You might ask for these. You might know the brand name Lucky Strikes. You might ask for the menthols. So he offered us the pizza, and we both said no thanks. And then he offered Sophia asked her if she wanted to smoke. She said, sure. So he handed her the pack, Lucky's, and she said, you're just giving me the whole pack. He said, yeah. And she said, there's nothing funny about them, is there? They're not laced with anything or anything. No. No, and now I haven't been smoking because I haven't been able to breathe right, but by then I'd been out of the house for a while, so I could. So I was kind of psyched to smoke one of those. I hadn't one of that specific brand in a long time. I hadn't had any tobacco for a couple of months, so Sophia lit us a couple of cigarettes, handed me one of them. Smoked a cigarette with her. And the kid walked away, sort of oddly, reluctantly walked away. And I thought, at the time, it's very odd. Offering us pizza, giving us cigarettes, just walking away after sort of twitching his way up to us, really sort of lurching up the sidewalk. And it was only later I realized what was going on there was that weirdo street kid scanned us as a couple, scanned Sophia and I as a couple, and scanned us as grown-ups and sort of parental. That after Sophia lit a cigarette for me, I should have said, "Sit down, kid, hang out," because that's what he wanted. He wanted to be invited to join us. He missed his parents, is what was going on there. And the reason there were 2 slices of pizza in that box is because he saw us. Somebody had given him $20, probably. He bought a pizza. He bought a bag of cigarettes. And he came beelining for us sort of maniacally and manically because he wanted to give us his last 2 slices of pizza and those cigarettes as a sort of offering so he could join us. But I didn't follow that's what was going on until later. I don't think that kid knew that we had just met 10 seconds earlier. We weren't any kind of a couple at all. And I certainly wasn't scanning us as old enough to be his parents in the moment. I didn't realize that until later either. And I know this isn't exactly a story. Chewed on this last night, this morning. Couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't figure out how to make it tighten up and line up right, so it feels like a narrative, a structured narrative, really. I don't suppose it matters. I can't breathe in here anyway. I'm not thinking very clearly. Anyway, I hope that kid's okay.